Welcome. In front of me is a REALME 16 Pro Plus, and today I'll show you how you can go through the setup process of this device. So, when you boot it up for the very first time, you should be presented with the same screen that you can see on my end, which is a lot of hello in different languages. I'm going to click on the arrow, and before we go any further, first choose your language. For me, it already selected the correct one, English, and then if you have some kind of visual impairments, you can click right here on accessibility in the top right corner and utilize two different things. For vision, we have TalkBack, so if you are potentially completely blind, you can utilize this, and this will allow you to operate the device without ever even needing to look at it or seeing it. The way you operate it is by just doing swipes up or down, tapping once or tapping twice on it, and this basically allows you to operate the device fully. The way this works is by swiping up, it selects option above. By swiping down, it will select option below. So here, let's say if we begin this, right? Actually, I can just enable this.
TalkBack on.
So there we
Gestures for certain features are now disabled. Welcome to TalkBack. Welcome to TalkBack.
Okay, I'm gonna
Page 1 of 5. TalkBack. Music volume set to 0%. Turn off. Capital E, Echo, capital W, Whiskey.
Why the hell is there a
67%. Accessibility, 67%. 60.
I don't even remember how to use this.
Batteries, 66%. 60.
Okay, you know what? I cannot bother this.
Allow Android accessible. Capital A, Alpha. Double tap to activate. TalkBack. Here items.
So there we go. We can kind of get a little bit of a sneak peek right here. It's a little bit annoying in certain cases. This bullshit pop-up should have disappeared, but whatever. Anyway, moving on, we had the second option. So here, magnification just adds a lot more options, while still not doing the TalkBack kind of navigation and retaining the original one. So you have shortcuts to be able to enable this, and you have magnification type, always on, and this just allows you to zoom in to any point of display, which typically you can't do this to zoom in. This would allow you to specifically pinpoint specific portion by just zooming in like it's a photo constantly. Anyway, moving back here, once you select your language and check the accessibility, you move on to the next page, which allows you to choose a region. Selecting a region right here could be cut and dry, just choose where you are from, or alternatively maybe look for one that you're not from, like for instance Poland. Assuming we have one here, I think we should have it. Yep, Poland. Now, reason for me selecting this is, well, I am from here, but also because Poland is part of the European Union, and European Union is very good at just pissing off US companies with their consumer-friendly rights that they create, and laws and regulations, which do benefit you. Chances are, at one point, they will be pissy enough that they're gonna change how their device operates when some law comes out that is consumer-friendly in only Europe and nowhere else. And by selecting that you're from Poland, hopefully, this could be completely irrelevant, but hopefully you, even though maybe you're from US, but you selected that, hey, you're from Poland, or the region, you might be included in that. So that's kind of why. Moving on, we have the legal information, user agreement, privacy policy, and the data security. The last one is very rich, considering it's Google. And it actually gives me one of those amazing vibes of we value your privacy kind of bullshit, which that's why we're going to be sharing it, your information and privacy with 1,500 other partners, which I actually have this right here. Yeah, there we go. That's basically the vibes that it gives me. We value your privacy. We and our 1,500 partners. Yeah, I feel very private. Anyway. And next we have set up using another device. Let's see if I can. Okay, I don't get the pop-up. Actually, I know why I don't get a pop-up. Typically, you would, on your device, if you have a Google account signed in and connected to network, you will get a pop-up at the bottom somewhere on the page letting you set up this device. And the way this will work is when you choose to do so, it will move all your Google accounts and any other accounts that are signed in on that device to this one. And this is just a super easy way to not need to mess around with, putting in passwords and so on for multiple different accounts. They just get seamlessly moved all at once with single confirmation needed, or dual confirmation to be more precise. So we have one, which is the number matching kind of thing from Google, where one phone shows you one number and the other one shows you 3 options, and you need to select the correct one that you see from that phone that shows you only one. And when you do, you might also need to confirm the screen lock. When you do that, it just goes further and moves all your Google accounts and any other ones. And along with Google accounts, you typically also have your contact information, SMS messages, applications that you can re-download, and so on. So anyway, let's move on. Connect to Wi-Fi network. Now, this is not a mandatory thing. You can connect to it if you want to. Also, if you are planning to add eSIM instead of a SIM card, you will also need network connection. But I'm not planning to do one of those, so I'm just going to be skipping this. And next we have unlocking method, and we have 3 different options: password, fingerprint, and face recognition. The 2 latter ones are biometrics. And biometrics aren't 100% reliable. Now, because they're not reliable, the phone will also force you to select PIN, pattern, or password from the password section right here, so that when you choose one of these and they fail to unlock your device, either one or both, you can always rely on that screen lock, which doesn't care about tiny little blemishes that the fingerprint or face recognition might. Now, alternatively, you can just skip protecting your device altogether, but I wouldn't recommend it, as your phone does store a lot of your personal information. So if you were ever to lose it, someone finds it and decides to be an annoying piece of trash and not give it back to you, they would obviously, number 1, have full access to whatever is on your phone, and number 2, they can just freely reset it and continue using the device as theirs. But if you are using screen lock and you also have a Google account signed in, which most people will, when such a person decides to keep this phone, their next course of action will be to reset it. By resetting it, the phone becomes locked. And when it's locked, when they're going to the setup process, they will need to verify either the screen lock that was previously on this device or the Google account that was signed in on this device. And if they can't do either one of those, they won't be able to use this device. It will be essentially a brick to them, which you can at least take satisfaction in knowing that such a waste of individual can't use your device. Next, we have Google services like location scanning and sending user and diagnostic data, along with the last one. I'm going to go over these and completely dismantle them as fast as I possibly can, but I am going to be shitting on this as much as I can too, so this will take a couple of minutes. I would urge you to listen to this, but if you don't care, you can just obviously select accept and move on. Now, going over this, we have use location, allow apps and services with location permission to use your device's location. Location accuracy uses information about wireless signals such as Wi-Fi, network towers, and GPS. I'm not going to go any further. That's really all we're going to be caring about. So if you turn that off, your device isn't not being located anymore. It's actually just telling applications not to use that data. It's still generating it. It's just telling applications and services not to do it. Google still has access to it because Google doesn't really consider themselves to be a service. Google considers themselves to be most likely an operating system, which at that point they're kind of excluding themselves from this bullshit. So that's one. And number 2, this toggle means absolutely fuck all. In reality, companies such as, for instance, Facebook, let's be honest, creepy-ass Zuckerberg never gives a fuck about consent, so obviously you can just expect that he's still going to do it. And this is not just me making shit up, it's actually proven that he's in court for that, in a class action lawsuit. Because, telling him not to do something, he takes it as a challenge and does it anyway. So that's why we have class action lawsuits now. Moving on, we have allow scanning. Allows apps and services to scan for Wi-Fi networks and nearby devices at any time, even when Wi-Fi or Bluetooth is off, which essentially means that your device never turns it off, actually. Other device can see your device. It just, again, not allowing apps and services to have access to it, which again, these apps and services could find some backwards way to still try to access it. Moving on, we have send user and diagnostic data. Help improve your Android device experience by automatically sending diagnostic device and app usage data to Google. No. Just no. Google claims, basically says, help us improve your Android. What it actually means is help us make another record-breaking profit by selling out your privacy to the highest bidders, while you get absolutely jack shit from this. Yeah, they can go themselves and pay me for this data if they want it so much. Everyone else pays them for this data. Why shouldn't they do that for us? And as long as they're not doing it, they're not going to be getting it. And regardless of what you believe, if they're going to be improving it or not, if they really want to improve it, they're going to pay you for it. And if they don't want to improve it, well, then you can always move to Apple. It's in their best interest and their job to improve your experience with their operating system without you needing to do shit. You already did the required thing, which is bought the device. You don't need to do anything extra. And furthermore, if Google ever breaks this, like Facebook, you can always be expecting in the future class action lawsuit, which primarily if you're in the US and such a thing happens, well, you can get some reimbursement for your rights being violated. So I would just do it out of principle. Moving on, send, install updates and apps. And this one is very kind of non-descriptive in what it does and kind of bullshitty, but it's one of the most disgusting things that you will have on your entire phone. So by continuing, you agree. I love that beginning. It's basically like you need to agree to it. It's a blackmail, and we're just making it into a legal thing. So by continuing, you agree that this device may also automatically download and install updates and apps from Google. Now, I don't, again, need to read any more of this. It's just load of bullshit. You can also probably think that I can turn off updates and application updates and system updates in the settings. And yes, you can. You definitely can. And Google can just completely disregard that and still update your device. That has been something that happened, for instance, for me with a Meta Quest 3 from Facebook. Wow, what a surprise. Now, that is running Android, by the way. So I had turned off the updates because I strictly didn't want the update of a new interface. Well, Zuck decided, fuck you, I tell you that you want it, so you can want it, and you have nothing to say. And one day I woke up for my headset to have a different UI that Zuck decided that I will have, even though I explicitly turned off every update in there. Now, the reason this happened, even though the toggle for updating was off, is because it didn't come through official channels, let's call it this way. It came through over-the-air updates, or OTA for short, which is what the label is usually for any of these services thing. So what this basically allows Google to do is install primarily security patches, which is beneficial to you, but it also allows them to change the terms of purchase after the purchase and completely disregard the fact that you don't want something, but if Google wants you to have it, you will, and you have nothing to say about it. And you might be thinking, I'm exaggerating, and you would be wrong, because there are already other cases outside of things like Meta Quest with phones and other smart devices, like for instance Samsung Smart Fridge, which people spent $3,000 on, and Samsung decided, whoa, that's a nice display you got there that we put in there. It would be a shame if you only used it for intended purposes, that you bought this product a year or two ago. Now you're going to be getting ads on the display. And who gives a shit about your little grocery shopping list or your photos of a family that you have on that display? Now you also get ads. So that's one thing, and you can't do anything about it. Number two was with Sony and their Xperia phones. People overpaid for these devices for a specific feature that was part of those devices, which was the ability to plug in that phone through USB-C cable to their alpha camera, which is also Sony's. So you could use the phone as a bigger display for your camera that is also color calibrated. Well, Sony decided to come out and be like, oh, you know what, not enough people are using this application in reality, so the people that are using, fuck you, we're going to now introduce the subscription after you have purchased the device. We know that you might have purchased this device for this specific feature that was free when you bought it, but it's no longer free, and you can't really undo this. Go yourself, you're getting it, you will own nothing, and you will love it. I don't. So what you can do to take control over this bullshit is download an application that allows you to view background processes, find an OTA update services process, and delete it. You won't be getting service or security patches, which could leave your device vulnerable, but you also won't be getting the vulnerability of companies changing the terms of purchase after the purchase, which to me seems like a bit bigger vulnerability that at this point is getting abused more often than I have ever encountered any kind of malware on my phone. Anyway, moving on, we have recommended services. Some of these might seem like they're repeating. Now, these will be from REALME. So, auto update overnight, wallpaper carousel. If you don't want random ass wallpapers on your lock screen every time you press the power button, and you also have a significant other, I would recommend turning that off. Reason for that is some of those wallpapers will be, for instance, of women doing yoga, or some random crap like, for instance, suitcases or brick wall. Now I cannot imagine any worse way than coming back home, putting my phone down, having a notification, a wallpaper of someone doing yoga, and then my significant other is like, whoa, who's that skank? I prefer to turn that off and have peace of mind. Next we have global search. It's just part of the home screen. So you can go over these, toggle them on and off, depending on if you want them. I'm going to just skip over them and move on. User experience programs. Again, this is like the Google one. Just give us data so we can improve shit, or basically we can sell it. This I agree. Navigation, buttons, or gestures. Choose whichever one you prefer. I do like gestures, so I'm going to stick with that. And we're basically done. There we go. So, there we go. Now, if you found this very helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.